been made in Canadian basketball.
One hand down, all over the defense.
One-hand talkback.
Oh! Bringing the fans to their feet, putting a man in the rim.
Ain't that awesome? Oh my Lord!
Welcome to the NPA on NPH.
Game 4. Ready to go. B.E.A.S.T prep. Taking on Rothesay Netherwood. Jason Tom here alongside Daniele Franceschi. First time side by side in the broadcast booth. Thank you for joining me here. This is B.E.A.S.T Prep's second game of the day as they take on Rothesay Netherwood. Drove in from the Maritimes, got here early today. It looks like we have a quick issue with the score sheet.
How many delays we've had today, Jason? It's been non-stop. We just had the officials talking to us, you know, in advance of this contest and speaking about the number of delays that we've had.
We've had a lot of whistles today, and I'm not saying that's the officials' fault. We've seen some rather chippy play, some rough play, but I think we may see the whistles loosen up a little bit here.
And I think the officials have done a very good job, and I think they've been very judicious in, you know, the fouls that they have called and the officiating. I think it's been relatively good throughout the course of the day. We have seen a lot of even skirmishes and the coaches and different things. And credit to the officials for keeping things moving, keeping things cohesive, and doing their best to communicate with the coaches as well, the players.
Yeah, there's been a lot of 50-50 calls that went uncalled. And I've definitely tipped my hat to the officials more than the other way around. And we now are underway. B.E.A.S.T prep with a couple of different bodies in the lineup than they had this morning. A name you're going to hear an awful lot, Shaheem Malcolm, number 1 in the dark blues. Getting it to the tin early, couldn't finish though. Javon Davis from range is good.
And here we see B.E.A.S.T going with a 1-2-2 press, coming out of the gate, trying to apply some pressure. And the one thing, Jason, if we look this morning, they played Crestwood. The energy level was just not there for them. They played uninspired, it seemed. They certainly need some sort of jolt, and it may come in the form of having a few different faces get back into the lineup.
Absolutely. They were undermanned, missing probably about 5 guys here in the morning. Head coach Adil Saibzada checking in after his TBA squad knocked off GTA prep in a tale of two halves. That first half was odd, just very low scoring. I feel like, you know, the offensive weapons kind of canceled each other out maybe. And that second half was exciting. It was weird to see A.J. Lawson on the bench for the majority of that third quarter, but he did come out in that fourth, had an impact, but GTA Prep just couldn't come out of that one on top.
One takeaway from that game in particular, when you look at A.J. Lawson, the peripherals stand out. Athleticism, the IQ, his body language, his maturity. He's a complete all-around player and a top prospect, and there's no doubt about that. It just looked like at points he lacked the killer instinct, and his shot wasn't going down today. Credit to him for sticking with it. Casey Azagu was an animal, an absolute beast for GTA, and they just couldn't pull it out in the end. But they did play, I think, a very sound basketball game, and that'll be huge for them going forward this weekend, because I think that's a learning experience. Maybe it's a wake-up call. I think they'll be sharp going forward.
I would agree with all of those points. I'd also agree that RNS has come out of the gates very strong. You saw their two statistical leaders, Shaheem Malcolm, who's already padded some stats there with a couple of putbacks in the early going. The guy that is really, not saying Shaheem's not, but the guy who for me is incredibly special is Kellen Tynes. Averaging some big numbers this season at 18.5 points per game, almost 8 dimes, and 7.5 rebounds per game. Like, he literally does it all, and his court vision is outstanding.
I think the one thing that you have to really admire about this RNS team is when you look at that backcourt with Shaheem Malcolm and Kellen Tynes, it's a two-prong attack. They both do things, they both bring different things to the table. Shaheem Malcolm, a Toronto native, so somewhat of a homecoming for him this weekend. I'm sure he's going to want to perform very well as he misses the 3 there.
And another putback plus the foul. I think the fam is in attendance. You're right, Daniele.
So, and you can see it. I mean, you look at, again, here's another guy. The physique, the skill set, the length, the athleticism, and the smarts on top of that, and you pair him with a guy like Kellen Tynes, the numbers speak for themselves, but these two guys are very dynamic, and they're the straw that really stirs this drink for RNS.
2.5 into the opening quarter. RNS taking advantage maybe of some tired legs on B.E.A.S.T, but RNS themselves just had their legs folded up on a bus for about 15 hours. And there's Tynes again, Caleb Sully. Another guy you're going to hear a lot of is Caleb Sully, the veteran of this club. And he has really started this season so strong, and on the defensive end as well, Sully with the block. But he's been the recipient of a lot of those passes from Tynes.
Heads up play by Shaheem Malcolm. First thing you're taught as a young basketball player, you rebound the basketball, turn your head, look to outlet the ball, play fast, get some tempo and rhythm. Made a great decision there, got it up the floor, results in an easy layup.
3 balls helpful there for B.E.A.S.T, cut back into the lead. They don't want to fall behind too quickly, and there it is again. He has length for days. It seems like Malcolm kind of gets into the air and then decides how he's going to finish after the fact.
We're hoping for a little showtime there.
Yeah.
Is Kellen Tynes going to provide that? Good finish, a strong finish with the right hand.
This is the 3-headed monster for the Riverhawks. Caleb Sully, Kellen Tynes, Shaheem Malcolm getting them out to an early lead. Stay with us. We'll be back with first quarter action.
History has been made in Canadian basketball.
From the Maritimes to the nation's capital.
I just like the sound.
Brady Cancun, my goodness.
To the 6.
Oh, big block there
To the prairies.
by Jashawn Henry.
All the way to British Columbia. This is the NPA.
One hand jam, all over the defense. My Lord, goodness gracious. Campbell with the facial. Oh, E-man, defense to offense.
Cummins, that is
No
not
way,
the guy.
no way.
Cummins.
Oh,
Plus the foul.
Cummins got the answer. Wow, that's another good one. There it is. Sammy Hunter.
And look at this.
And we're back. The Riverhawks soaring in the opening minutes. They came out of the bus from Rothesay, New Brunswick, hot and ready. And I had a feeling this was going to be the case. They went winless in that Ottawa session, and I knew they were hungry to get back on the floor. They're looking to feast on B.E.A.S.T right now.
They went winless a year ago in their first season on the NPA circuit. Damian Gay, of course, now in his second season with RNS as the head coach, trying to usher in this new program, and off to a good start here in this first quarter against B.E.A.S.T Prep, who's also looking to get back on track.
Shameless self-promotion. You'll see the feature on the RNS program next week. Kellen Tynes picking pockets and finishing. Man, what a dream start for the Riverhawks. B.E.A.S.T, I don't think they know what happened right now. This team is amped up.
Quick hands from Kellen Tynes. He gets in there, picks a pocket. Here's another steal. Oh, that's
and
pretty.
there we go, in transition, Tynes ahead, Shaheem Malcolm, two-handed smash.
That is pretty, and the energy in the building starting to pick up. Shaheem Malcolm providing the exclamation point on what's been a fantastic start for RNS.
Man, B.E.A.S.T, when they don't have their three-pointers going, they get in trouble quick. They seem to rely on those three-pointers a little too much, especially in the early going.
And I would echo that sentiment. And what's interesting is even on the outside looking in on the surface, I mean, this B.E.A.S.T team has a profound size advantage, it seems.
Yep.
And yet you're sitting beyond the arc and trying to operate from the perimeter. Maybe you want to pound it inside a little bit.
Foul on the floor as we're reaching the midway point. I was mentioning about RNS of a program feature coming out next week where everything Daniele was just mentioning is talked about. The fact that, you know, they didn't win a game last year, but Damian Gay was okay with that simply for the fact that he was looking to build a culture. And then this year with some graduating seniors, I mean, the entire roster was Maritimers last year, and now they brought in a Kellen Tynes, who's from Halifax, a Shaheem Malcolm from Toronto. And Malcolm said, he was like, you know, the friends and family that are here, we're questioning him, saying, why are you going out there to play basketball? And it's because he had this amazing opportunity to go to this private school to get a great education. We'll continue that thought after a short break. Stay with us. We'll be back.
Rep by rep. You push yourself. Effort is only half the battle. Doubt sets in. Why do you do it? Is it worth it? The lights turn on. All your questions are answered.
We've been talking about Shaheem Malcolm, and he has had an outstanding start to this game. The second leading scorer in the NPA at 23 points per game.
And Shaheem Malcolm does it in a variety of different ways. You see the explosiveness on display, the athleticism, the length. He's a tremendous playmaker, and paired with Kellen Tynes in the backcourt, they're the engine that's going to drive this team. They're the two-pronged attack that RNS needs, and Damian Gay certainly doing a fantastic job of transforming, developing this program, getting them to the level where they can be a contender perhaps one day in the NPA.
It'll be interesting to see what they can do now without Kellen Tynes on the floor.
And that's the beauty of having a pair of guys like that in your backcourt, and you're going to see Tynes checking right back in. But even if you want to stagger minutes to take the analogy, you know, the Houston Rockets have that situation now with Chris Paul and James Harden. How do you say? It's just such a luxury. If anything, that's a great problem to have as a coach. Damian Gay has identified how he wants to build his team, and it's going to start with a backcourt that you can rely on, that can be there consistently and give you good minutes and can really just dictate the tempo pace of the game for you.
And it's interesting because when you talk about the Maritimes, you know, they just don't have a lot of size because of the small population. So it's interesting that, you know, they do have some size out there right now in Ben Dowell, who's from Nova Scotia. And you see Luck on the other end with a nice finish off glass. But so you just wonder going forward with the guys that they do bring in, if you go out strictly looking for size, because that's providing something that you can't get in your home province. Because in talking to both Halifax Preps head coach and here with Damian Gay with RNS, they do want to keep the majority of their squad local kids.
See, and I think that's a great approach, because even I think there's this not necessarily a misconception, but there's this aura surrounding prep basketball, and it's maybe an epidemic to a certain extent, where everybody believes that you have to have these guys who are 6'10", 6'11", these 7-footers who are migrating from these third world countries and coming in. To me, honestly, I mean, skill will win above all if you have the right combination of guys, and you look at teams like TBA, GTA Prep that we saw play, the quality of talent is tremendous. But if you can't play together, if you can't play cohesively, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. So, I mean, for me, I look at that as the culture is more important than anything else.
Tynes had me faked out by that pass. I was looking him right in the eyes, and he tried to fire that down low to the opposite baseline. Also in the game right now for B.E.A.S.T is Anthony Bradshaw, who they were missing in that first game. That's him down low trying to guard on Dowell. Bradshaw just a wide load down there.
Well, if there's any advantage that you do get from having some big bodies and some size, it's the rebounding department. But, it comes at certain expenses at the same time. And you look at RNS, they're trying to at the expense or compensate for the lack of size. Go with a press, speed up the flow of the game. Your point guard is long, athletic anyway, so you're not really losing much at the end of the day. And when you have your point guard who is 6'5", borderline 6'5", and Shaheem Malcolm, and a 6'2" guard in Kellen Tynes, I mean, it's really irrelevant. It's really about their ability to play at your tempo, play your game. So I think that's important, and RNS has done that.
It's Caleb Suley with a wild attempt down low, can't get it to go. Officials have stayed true to their word. Have been solid with the whistles. Hey, you fall a little bit behind, it's amazing what the referees will do to get things back on track. But they have been outstanding here today. They were great down the stretch of a tight game between TBA and GTA Prep. They've been on top of any shot clock issues as we, work the FIBA rules here, resetting to 14. Been very impressed with what we've seen here as Crestwood Preparatory host their first major basketball tournament, and it's the first major basketball tournament in Canada of 2018 as well.
And credit to the officials, the patience that they've exhibited and exercised throughout the process today, as this is game number 4. And, of course, a weekend full of basketball, 21 games if I am correct, Jason, over the course of 4 days here at Crestwood. And this Crestwood program itself has really been reborn and transformed under Roe Russell, and they've done a fantastic job themselves and deserve an abundance of credit for the job that they've done.
And talking to their athletics director in the feature you can see on NorthPoleHoops.com, a line that I would expect to hear from a basketball player is what I heard from her. We're not looking to be top dog for 1 year. We're looking to do this for 20 or 30 years, which is incredibly impressive. They have a bit of a history with hockey here. A couple of NHLers have come out of this group, but they don't have a rink here. It's a lot tougher to have a hockey program, and basketball was an easy fit for them. And it's an opportunity. It's much like RNS here. I mean, RNS is a school that's been around since, I believe, like the late 1800s. I think something like 104 years, I believe. And high-level academics. They have people from all over the world going to that school. They have kids from Europe, kids from Africa, Australia. And now they're welcoming kids from other provinces to come over that wouldn't necessarily have an opportunity to have a private school education. So, I mean, really, you're talking about Crestwood, talking about RNS, like these aren't basketball factories as we always hear. These are academic athletic factories that are now starting to embrace basketball. And what I love about it is it's bringing in players that wouldn't necessarily have that opportunity, like as Shaheem Malcolm said. I'm coming from the public school system here in Toronto and going to a private school in RNS. That opportunity is not lost on me.
And I think you're going to see that happen more frequently nowadays. And I think it's a selling feature. Kids still want to get a good education. Kids still want to find at the end of the day, kids are going to want to find a program where you can develop, you can grow and mature as a player, as a basketball player, and as a person. And the academic portion of it is very significant. And the kids who have their heads screwed on correctly, have a good head on their shoulders, they understand that their parents will point them in that direction. You're going to see it pop up more frequently, and these factories, these institutions, these AIs of the world with their big prep budgets and facilities and things of that nature. I mean, it's still there's going to be these programs that are going to attempt to challenge them and cultivate that environment that allows kids like the Halifax, Nova Scotian, those communities to really thrive. And I think that's important, and overall it helps the Canadian basketball landscape.
Well, I mean, that's exactly it. There's space for all of this. There's space for traditional high schools. There's space for high-level basketball first, and then there's space for high-level academics with athletics as well. And I think the big thing in myself and kind of getting oriented with this year, I think the biggest thing too is, we hear like the NCAA, to get cleared to get into the NCAA, as of last year, has made that much more difficult. So focusing on your academics is important. And here, talking to the athletics director here, and it's like, listen, like, I want these kids, when they get to the next level, I want them to be academically ready, not just grades to pass, but to have the ability to learn at that level. So when you go and get that free education, guess what? You go for 3 or 4 years and you get the education.
You make it worth your while, and that's because at the end of the day, basketball at some point there is an expiration date.
So, hey man, we just saw Monte Gil Caesar, who just saw his season come to an end. Now he has another one left. But I mean, that's a guy that, he has back injuries, a knee injury. If he doesn't get that figured out, and it has nothing to do with him, that's physically happening to him, right? And when it comes down to it, he needs to be ready for what's next. 8 seconds to go here in the first quarter. Kellen Tynes has his pocket picked, 5 on the clock. Tynes gets back, picks the pocket right back. RNS with an outstanding first quarter, a 14-point lead. This is the most calm I've ever seen Damian Gay. I'm a little concerned, but we'll check back in here in the second quarter.
Hey! Let's go, boy!
Malcolm tries another, buries it.
Wide open down low, but we're back live. We mentioned that Anthony Bradshaw is back for B.E.A.S.T. He missed this morning's game. He kicks back out, finds Dylan Nelson for 3. Malcolm, Caleb Sully. Ooh, don't see Caleb miss by that far that often.
And not the shot you want in transition. And there's an offensive foul. I'm just going to say you get the benefit of having a size advantage, but there's no need for that. You got some momentum on your side in your favor. You're down by 11. You come up the floor, opportunity to cut it to single digits. You hoist a transition triple, and it just makes you scratch your head sometimes. When you see the shot selection, and RNS, yes, there was an air ball, but the ball movement was very, very crisp, and it resulted in a quality look from the perimeter. So I wouldn't even necessarily say that, sure, yes, you miss a shot, but it's a byproduct of getting a good look at the same time, at least.
Elias had mentioned in the previous game he's excited to see the new addition. Malcolm with a little alley-oop soft finish. Victor Yor was the new addition to this B.E.A.S.T squad, but he's out with an injury, injured himself in that previous game.
And boy, Shaheem Malcolm is a handful. He's a really, really complete point guard. He's the kind of player I would want leading my team. I look at his demeanor. This RNS team does not look like a squad that went winless a year ago, that has overcome a variety of different challenges and struggles and has faced a ton of adversity. Certainly does not look like that type of group here in the first half of this game. They look very poised, very calm, very confident, and Shaheem Malcolm doing a fantastic job running the show.
I read a great article about young athletes, and it was focused on basketball players overcoming adversity and what that does. Again, Nelson from downtown, what that does to an athlete's mentality, and it helps them deal with things on the court. You know, a big problem in sport isn't a big problem in the grand scheme of things when you've dealt with that. So it's funny that you mentioned that, you know, the winless season and the winless in Ottawa, all that is building towards what we're seeing right here, the mentality and the structure that you're seeing on this squad, right? Nelson again. Look out. Someone get a hand up on that man. Dylan Nelson, 3 trifectas to start off the second quarter. That's going to help.
Absolutely. You got to get a hand up and into him. You got to make sure you stay spaced, and you know you're not in a full gap position, because if you give him a little bit of room to pop it, and he's going to get another look right here, and he's hot. Ooh. Rims out.
Bradshaw spinning and finishing. I've never seen a refrigerator spin like that. This kid is built like a linebacker, but he has some great footwork and soft hands. There's a foul on Seward.
I didn't even know a fridge could move like that.
I mean it as the most positive way possible, right? It's the same as, like,
it's a compliment.
Yeah, I say a kid like that's like a refrigerator. If I see a kid who's maybe 6'2" and built like that, I call him like a fire hydrant, and I mean it totally in a positive way. When you're an athlete, those are the type of attributes that you need, especially in basketball. I see a kid like this, and that's who I want on my team, right? And that's what I was a little shocked with this morning with B.E.A.S.T. Like, they weren't strong around the rim. And Elias and I had said, like, Bradshaw is always strong around the rim.
Well, there's a lot of room for guys like that, because those guys set the tone for you. And he makes a move like that with his footwork and that type of finish.
Yeah.
The soft touch. And that alone can really provide a huge boost. Even from just a morale standpoint, because here's a guy who's doing dirty work. He's going in there and battling, and that's big, and it really adds a lot to a team. That toughness, that physicality.
And you heard the oohs and ahs from the squad behind us. LBA is here in attendance, and they love seeing that Bradshaw spin and soft finish. Tynes pull up off the mark.
That's a
Malcolm,
good pass.
Yep. Working it around.
I like that.
Ryan McLean had himself a really nice time in Ottawa. Missed that shot right there. That jumper was a little bit flat as well. His lead's trimmed down to 8. B.E.A.S.T is not going to go away no matter how strong of a start that was for RNS.
Well, Dylan Nelson having quite the half here for B.E.A.S.T, and obviously with 3 triples and really kind of providing a spark offensively. RNS, though, doing a good job of moving the basketball. They're getting quality looks. Defensively, you just want to make sure you still stay tight to the shooters and get a body on some of the bigs down low. You got to get some rebounds just like that.
Oh, ooh. That was a dangerous rainbow pass there that could have been picked off to the baseline.
Nice block. That's
Dawson
what you teach.
Sutherland.
Just go straight up, both arms, wall up. Don't commit a foul, don't swat down. Doing an excellent job there defensively. It was Shaheem Malcolm in there as well. Jason, we have to point it out. I
No,
mean,
don't point it out.
I mean, when's
Don't point it out.
the last time
Don't
you
say
watched a game where you've seen someone in a T-shirt, no number, check into a ball game?
6:02 left here in the second quarter.
It's a first.
This lead is down to 6. Malcolm, no good. Sutherland trying to bring it down. Picked off by Tynes.
Nice pass.
The finish was lacking.
Yeah, you need a soft touch around the rim. That's one thing. You got to finish those opportunities. They don't come very often. You got to take advantage. Really like the energy from this RNS team. Their bench is engaged, involved. B.E.A.S.T kind of looks disjointed. Even when you look at their bench and they're all spread out and they look like they don't operate, it seems, as a collective. They just, it looks like they're very segmented and almost a disjointed bunch. And I guess that's part of, maybe that's just the personality of some of these guys, right?
Keep it going. Keep the intensity high.
Get your feet square. Get your feet square.
Take it home, write it down, grab a homie, and work on it. Work on it, master it.
AJ Lawson, go! He gets it to go! Wow! Pick it up, Jalen.
Oh my God!
Top 10.
Two-way players are the best players. Understand that. Two-way players are the best players.
Here's Sabri Phillips. Two-hand jam!
Let's go, boy!
It doesn't matter from what city you're from, how tall you are, what school, what club you represent. Game speaks. There's no politics here.
We've traveled across the country and back. 6 years running. Canada's basketball talent blossoms right before our eyes. From coast to coast.
RNS has had their double-digit lead trimmed down to 6. B.E.A.S.T showing a little bit of pressure here. Kellen Tynes having no problem with that.
Well, finally, B.E.A.S.T coming out and applying some ball pressure, and it's refreshing to see some intensity there on the defensive end of the floor. There you go. You don't want him to be comfortable. You do not want him to be comfortable. Kellen Tynes having a hard time. Shaheem Malcolm and a deflection. And if you're Greg Robitaille, you can live with that. You can live with one of those fouls.
.509 to go. Shaheem Malcolm to borrow a saying that was borrowed by my broadcast partner here about being the stick that stirs the drink. And Malcolm really was that in the first quarter for this squad, kind of getting it done on the offensive end. He's quieted down a little bit, but, you know, having two sticks, he and Kellen Tynes, is exactly what you need. And they've been able to maintain this lead. I'm sure Damian Gay's sitting back there a little bit worried as it's getting trimmed down bit by bit. But you need someone else to step up here too, and that's a guy who I'd really expect. Yeah, we're going to keep it RNS's way, but that was a guy who I would expect in Ryan McLean. He really started to get it going from range up in Ottawa, but he has not been able to connect here this afternoon.
One thing we just saw on that last possession, RNS deciding to go with a 1-3-1, and part of the reason you go to a zone, in addition to just trying to throw maybe a little bit of a wrench into things tactically, but from a schematical standpoint, it allows them to exert less energy defensively. You're not forced to keep guys in front of you. You can operate in space, and so that's one of the things. Fatigue, we'll see. Shaheem Malcolm has logged a lot of minutes in this first half, as has Kellen Tynes, and yes, it's their first game of the weekend, but you know, they were on this lengthy road trip to get here, and at the same time, will that play a factor down the stretch? You got to give him a burn. You got to give him a little bit of a breather from time to time, and yeah, we're going to see it right now, actually, in fact.
Good timing. It was foul trouble sending him to the bench, so this is going to be a big-time 4.5 minutes for both these teams. B.E.A.S.T needs to make up some space here. That's the guy to ask to do that from downtown. Mark Giles.
You got to pick your poison. RNS, if you're going to pick your poison, you're going to say, okay, we're going to try to make sure we can alleviate some of the pressure defensively. And here you see B.E.A.S.T are really getting into it now. Vocal, the bench getting into it. The energy's starting to shift in their direction. But you pick your poison in terms of, are you going to force them to hit threes, or are you going to allow them to operate under the basket? And I think what you see from Coach Gay, he's doing a good job. He's decided he's going to say, okay, B.E.A.S.T prep. Let's see if you can consistently hit shots from the perimeter. Let's see if you can sustain that type of production. And then we'll come back in the second half, hopefully with fresh legs, and we'll go back to our pressure defense with a three-quarter zone press and see if we can generate some turnovers. And that's what they did in the first quarter. That got them off to a very good start.
3:24 to go.
There we go. Good rotation defensively.
Pull up is Cash. Michael Palamarchuk.
And they're hitting. They're dialed in from long distance right now. They're hitting shots from the perimeter. They've made a big run here in the second quarter.
Tynes just stuffing the stat sheet. Missed, got his own rebound, tried to dish it off for a dime, not going to happen. Ooh, that's an offensive foul.
And what's the old saying, Jason? Basketball is a game of runs. There
Absolutely,
you go.
Yeah.
So we're seeing it on both sides of the coin right now. You have RNS, who got off to a fantastic start, and they just got to maintain their composure. B.E.A.S.T, likewise, weathered the storm early on, maintained their composure, stayed locked in mentally, come back in the second and have a big run of their own, and now we're locked in a tight ball game, all knotted up at 39 apiece here late in the first half.
Sully.
Oh, beautiful.
Nice pass. How many times have we said that from RNS today, but also how many times have we seen him not been able to convert those nice passes into points?
Obviously that's frustrating as a fan, as a coach, but you got to admire the ball movement. You can't get too angry at the fact that ball is humming and they're getting good looks. It's just about now you got to convert. Unfortunately, that's a bottom line. The ball's got to go into the basket at some point.
.217 to go. Anthony Bradshaw checks back into the game.
I don't know about you, Jason, but this morning when you watch B.E.A.S.T take on Crestwood, I don't know if the expectation was that it was going to be that lopsided. I don't know if that was necessarily what anybody really expected. But like we said, they just looked like a dejected bunch. Like it was, and it just seems like that whole the mentality has shifted here in this game, and they've kind of woken up, if anything. And yes, I'm not gonna make any excuses to say that 9:30 game is to be at fault, but they are a different team here in this afternoon affair against RNS.
And as a first-year program, there's a lot of struggle that goes on as well, like buy-in, making sure everybody's on the same page. What is that page? Like, that's the biggest thing, right? I mean,
absolutely. One
thing that Elias had mentioned is, who have you heard on this team, talk? Mm-hmm. And it's just a matter of, I think, who's going to be that guy who does step up and be the vocal leader, right?
Yeah, exactly. Where's the leadership come from? Yep. You can't have the struggle, it's difficult because you can't have the leaderships come from your coaching staff. Yes, they are, and in this case, Greg Robitaille as the head coach, yes, it's his responsibility to make sure they're all on the same page and they're working towards one common goal, but there's got to be that leadership internally amongst the players in the locker room, behind closed doors. Who's the guy that's lifting up this group? And as Elias pointed out this morning, they just don't have that, or it doesn't seem like it. You know, and operating as a collective and being cohesive, that's a huge part of playing basketball. And to add on to your point about being a first-year program, the credibility, buy-in is tough because you need to have a reputation, you need some credibility, and you have to establish that, and that takes time. It's difficult to accomplish.
And in the mentality today, like generational too, right? Like if you speak up and try to take charge, people go, well, who are you?
Absolutely.
Right? Where 20 years ago, someone would be like, okay, yeah, you know what, I'll get behind this guy. But a lot of that doesn't happen in today's day and age. It's like, who are you to speak up and tell me what to do?
And that's the challenge for coaches too, and especially young coaches and coaches that are just trying to establish and develop a program. They're forced to coddle players because guess what? If you do go with maybe some harsh, tough love sometimes,
they'll get out of dodge.
Exactly, and that's what makes it challenging for these programs that are in their infancy to really evolve and grow. Because how do you develop the trust, the confidence, and have the you want your players to have faith in you, and vice versa. It's got to work both ways. So how do you achieve some growth? And that's a challenge. That's a real challenge.
Sully, he has been quite off today. I think somebody got a piece of that, but Sully's their long-range bomber.
Nice
finish in transition.
But B.E.A.S.T has looked really comfortable operating in transition, and we see them, again, man-to-man, but they're starting to apply more ball pressure, make it difficult for RNS to run, get into their sets, and that's what you don't want. You don't want those one-and-done possessions. Nice move, Kellen Tynes. Well defended.
Yep. 11 seconds to go. With everything that went RNS's way in the first quarter, B.E.A.S.T has to be happy to be back within striking distance right now. At the same time, RNS looking to get off on a winning note, have to be happy that at least they're working with some sort of lead here with the rock. Wow, it opened up for Kellen Tynes. Did it ever?
Right down the middle of the lane.
2 seconds to go. Nice attempt by Palamarchuk, no good, 45-41. We'll be back, second half action after a very quick break.
He's mic'd up, he doesn't say anything.
No, don't do the Steven one. Don't do the Steven one. Don't do that. Don't do that. I actually talk.
You don't talk.
Yes, I do.
You're gonna fake talk.
Yesterday I was talking the whole game. My name's Hughes, I'm like for North Pole Hoops. Check it, man. Oh, get him! Get him! Hey! Hey! Hey!
Watch it, bro. Is that a compression sleeve?
What do you mean?
Can I lift the short? So it's a legging, right?
Yeah.
It has to be above the knee. Above, it's supposed to be inside the shorts too. Above the knee. Not above the knee, they come off. They're tight. Above the knee.
You can't play like this. Shout out MPH, cameraman right there, you see me? Hey, get this jelly, get this jelly, get this jelly! Jelly! Do your dance, do your dance, do your dance. Hey, you ugly. Do your daddy, son, yeah. Go, boy. That's a dime. That's a dime. That's a dime. Oh, get in there, boy. Get in there, boy. Michigan, Michigan, Michigan. Woo.
Okay, rebound.
Oh, that's out. That's out. All right, good call, ref. Dime. Dime. Let's go, boy. Hey, man, get the ball, get the rebound and run. No, I'm coming in, I'm going in. That's a hit, boy. LA.
Easing up on this end. What he's doing? Better, yeah?
You have 30? Hey! Matt was there, though. Matt was there. No worry, Matt, I got you. Oh, yeah, that's a dime. Oh, yeah, boy! Give me that. Hey, man, shout out Saga, East and West. There you know. These are red bottoms. These are blood shoes.
Go beat him up on 3.
1, 2, 3, beat him up. Shot. Oh my God! I won, man. Oh, give me that. Hey! Good work. You should have used this spot. You can't be saying that. Better keep it rated R. Rated for everyone.
Speak English, bro. Speak English, bro.
Spin cycle! Get him, Craig!
How's in your back? Yo, Craig, it's the microphone.
The mic, bro!
That's a robot. I like That's a robot.
Hey, man, that's a nice dub in the books. You really do this, man.
I'm Kellen Tynes and I'm mic'd up for North Pole Hoops. Bad and boot, bad, cooking the dough with the ooze. Yeah. To my dog. Woo!
We're going to play a lot of zone, so we need to beat it down the court. We can run all our sets against the zone. You just got to run to good space.
Done it. Ayo, bang into 30. Lock out middle. Dawson drop. Ben, see him. Don't let it get through there. Dawson drop. Hey! Let's go, boy! Ben, turn and sprint. Hey, and one! Go, let's go! Gotta warn it, that ball's in the air. Push somebody, box him up. Get the ball, or squeeze it.
We need to make sure that at one time, Kellen, you did the absolute perfect thing you've never done since I met you. You stepped out, you tried to take up space. You weren't trying to take a charge, but you were trying to go and meet him. You accidentally went around it. Now you got to close that gap a little bit better.
Yeah. Panther! Hey! Turn up, Ben! Don't run into him if he's there. Suds, wave him off. Box. You keep looking to pass. You got to look to attack.
Quit catching the ball right in the middle. Either be on
you got to get on that side or this side. Come on. And one! Let's go, Big Ben. Here, man. Yeah! Caleb, don't stand in the middle of the paint when there's a man wide open. Find him. Make sure we're loud. We up by 10. We go on a run right now. They'll be done. They won't want to play, man. Let's go. Hey! Good hits, boy. Let's go. Let's go. Transition's out there.
Shot, run back.
Transition's out there. Bring it up. Run the offense. Yeah. Stop forcing down low. Bang out! Hey! Turn up, boy! Good job, studs. There you go. 23. Hey, we gotta turn up. Suli, you gotta come on ready to play. Keep up intensity. Let's go, size. Let's go. Your man's out there, but you need to go in and crash, especially if he's out there, because no one, you're battling with no one. You gotta get down there and fight. Hey. Try and get in front of the post when you post up, but don't foul. 2 minutes left. 2 minutes and 30 seconds, bro. We gotta grind. Yeah, there's no more.
My name's Lowell Acott and I'm mic'd up for North Pole Hoops.
Hey. From the coaching staff to you guys, have the same intensity, same emotion, same enthusiasm as it is to stop someone, as it is to score.
All right, let's go, man. Starts on defense.
Ready for their press.
Hot threes, boy. Go. Yo, deal. Zo. Yo, my man's right here.
We're back. RNS 4-point lead at the break, led by the two sticks that stir the drink. Kellen Tynes and Shaheem Malcolm both with 13 points in that first half, and the third part of that three-headed monster, Caleb Suli, chipping in with 10. Interesting play there.
Bradshaw trying to stretch out his game a little bit.
Took off for the rebound almost immediately and tried to come up with it.
Little beyond his range. Oh, we're going to see it again. No, this time wise move.
Can't finish.
So Tynes and Malcolm combining for 26 in that opening half, and they're going to need a lot more of that. They're certainly going to need a lot more production from those two, that dynamic backcourt duo for RNS. And again, we talked about it before we went to break at the end of the opening half, going back to that press. And B.E.A.S.T, we'll see if they made an adjustment, because they were absolutely torched defensively in the first half, off of turnovers leading to easy layups.
I'm still absolutely shocked that Damian Gay has sat, leaned back with his arms on a chair on either side of him.
Very calm.
For an entire half of basketball and still there now. Like, it's actually scaring me just a little. Nice pass, nice. Bradshaw with the finish, just like you run it in practice.
Excellent cut from the weak side, and Damian Gay is going to take a timeout now. Try to just kind of hit the reset button a little bit for RNS. They're off to a bit of a shaky start, and it's been a lengthy run here from B.E.A.S.T, even dating back to the end of that first half. So we'll see what adjustments RNS can make. But he's been very calm, very mellow throughout the first 22 minutes of this game.
It might change. Game 3 of 6 today. Stay with us. We'll be back at Crestwood Prep. Looking to beat the buzzer. Stick back jab, Jacoby Neath.
Hey! Let's go, man. Good pick, boy.
Transition, Shaheem Malcolm. Oh, someone checked that ball for a bruise.
Hey!
With the steal. Blowing past everybody, A.J. Lawson. We're back to live game action. Kellen Tynes trying to set up this offense, running off the screen. Got the mismatch, pulls up over the big man. I don't know about that.
Don't like that shot selection right there. I mean, you set a screen along the 45, you come off the screen, and just not a high percentage shot whatsoever. You want to get those secondary cutters going. You want to get some movement, and kind of stagnant on that possession for RNS.
Yeah, I don't know. If you pull out a mismatch like that of the big man, I don't know about pulling up from 3 or 4 feet behind the three-point arc, right?
That's a great point. If anything, you attack that, draw foul, get to the foul line, make something happen, right?
That is what they needed to happen. They needed someone else to hit a shot outside of their 3. And Ryan McLean's that guy. They also need to be able to box out on the defensive end, because that's a big-time shot.
Talk about making it rain from downtown. Nelson has been on point. Oh, beautiful feed.
You want to see more of that. Shaheem Malcolm working it nicely with his big man, Dawson Sutherland.
And suddenly got some good pace here. This is a good pace to this game. Now, can you sustain it?
Yeah.
I think a pace like this could favor RNS. They want to speed it up a little bit. They don't want to operate in the half-court setting, because if you take the ball out of your top 2 playmakers and you kind of slow the game down, it might become sluggish. But B.E.A.S.T has more depth, and that's apparent, and especially in the first half. So we'll see what happens. Well defended.
Yep. Yeah, because really, B.E.A.S.T need to get their long bombs happening, and it really only happens out of the half-court set. They're not a transition pull-up 3 team. They're a drive and kick team.
And that's the key right there. When you penetrate, kick out, drive, kick, and keep that cycle going. It's like a dump and chase in hockey. You're trying to generate those same opportunities over and over again. And for B.E.A.S.T, we've seen it, and it's paid dividends. That's a big shot right there, but that's paid dividends for them. So we'll see if they can try and generate some of those looks.
Heart of a Lion McLean getting it going here in the third quarter.
I like that nickname.
Oh, and answering back.
My goodness.
Dylan Nelson is having himself a shooting show here at Crestwood Prep.
Wow, talk about the display of long distance shooting. Nelson, that's his 5th triple if my math serves me correctly. And I would like to say that that's my forte, but I'm not gonna make that declaration at this point. But man, he's been dialed in from long distance, no doubt about that.
There's nothing I like better in a basketball gym than a stance full of people screaming out, "You have the score wrong."
It just wouldn't be a basketball game without something of that nature happening.
I swear,
right?
There's people who just wait for that moment. You're like, here it is. I could start my "you got the score wrong" chant.
No, it never fails.
And I appreciate it because it's important to get it correct.
Absolutely.
It's just so funny to constantly hear it every time.
Yep, illegal screen. Good call by the official along the baseline.
Tynes to the bench. Nelson up top. Bumbling and stumbling into the lane. Javon Davis.
Now that right there has to drive a coach crazy, although Damian Gay is nice and calm.
Yep.
But reason is you get deep into the shot clock, you kick it to the baseline. That's where you want to force the ball. They get it there, and he drives baseline off a shot fake where you jump, easy layup, beat the shot clock, and that just drives you nuts.
Execution for 22 seconds.
And I think that's also one thing I did notice from that possession in particular, byproduct of zero communication.
Yeah.
I think we heard it one time, Lion McLean was the only person who had some semblance of communication happening, and he was indicating that he was guarding the ball handler. Aside from that, not at any point, there was zero communication after that. And that's what happens. It's stuff like that. Those little miscues can make a big difference in the long run, and something that I think they got to tighten up defensively, if anything, because they do a good job of going vertical, going up strong, being very, very, very tough and tenacious defensively. Just got to communicate a little more.
Caleb Sully finds himself back at the charity stripe just over the midway point of the third quarter. It's been a tight game throughout after RNS jumped out to an early 14-point lead after the opening quarter. Since then, B.E.A.S.T has battled back, and much like the game prior to this, it's been a punch-counter-punch the rest of the way, which is music to my ears, to be honest with you.
It's great. It's beautiful. The pace has been great. It's been a competitive game back and forth. It's like a good old heavyweight fight, right? You get land one, and here comes, as you said, a counter punch the other way. It's been fun to watch. There it is.
McLean, little inside of his range. He needs to step back and make that a three.
I was going to say, you can't be upset with that, right? Good, clean look. That's the guy you want shooting the ball. He's been very, very, very good today. So you can't complain about that.
Anthony Bradshaw checking back in for B.E.A.S.T.
We talked a little bit in that first half about staggering minutes, and you saw it right there. Kellen Tynes took a nice little breather, and now we might see Shaheem Malcolm perhaps come off and get a little bit of a burn, and then therefore get them both back in the game, prepared for the fourth quarter, making that stretch run.
2-point lead for B.E.A.S.T. Stay with us. We'll be back as we continue day 1 of 4.
Let's go, bro.
In transition, throwing it down. Off the backboard, just Sean Henry. Shaheem Malcolm letting everybody know the Riverhawks have taken flight. Right down the lane with the slam. Oh, Sammy Hunter. Oh. 4:17 to go. Ryan McLean making it rain in North York. Bringing it all the way from Rothesay, New Brunswick.
That's a big shot right there. Ryan McLean. He's been a force, and right back at it, down the other way. B.E.A.S.T. answers with a triple of their own.
Abdu Figaro. Shaheem Malcolm. Great job running off the screen. Good screen set. Great angle taken off of the screen. That equals up to the basket and the bump.
Terrific execution right there. He rubs off the screen at the timing was perfect, and that's all part of that. You practice it, the angle, and then finishing and actually executing that finish. And you see a lot of teams run that action, those cross screens, and trying to get them over the top. But the one mistake a lot of these young players make, you see them, a lot of them have a tendency to fade out more towards the short corner.
Absolutely.
And instead of catching it on the point of attack, and he made a great move right there, and it resulted in an converted and one opportunity.
They end up too far away from the rim, right? Like,
exactly.
He was right in the perfect position, but if he would have been another foot to the left, he would have been out of position and probably not made the shot.
And one team that I see do that frequently, and not to go ahead and kind of veer off a little bit, but in the OSBA, Vaughn, when I watch Vaughn prep a lot. They run the exact same action. Tarrant, a very talented, very explosive wing, but he makes that mistake very frequently. And when a guy like that who's as explosive and athletic as he is, all you want him to do is just catch it, turn, and literally go up. Because at that rate, as you saw right there, with his length and Shaheem Malcolm at 6'4", 6'5", turns around, is right at the hoop, gets fouled, the hoop in the harm.
Daniel Luck brought with him the gold shoes from the Maritimes.
Those are some sweet kicks.
Missed the first and the second. Ooh, they have to get him some black shoes after that.
There we go. Now we're getting some physicality out there on the floor.
Yeah, it's going to be a grind-out affair down the stretch, that's for sure. Wow. Did not see that going on from Tyrese Virgo. Seemed to be awkward coming off the hand. But that's a big shot to put B.E.A.S.T. prep back up a point. Malcolm. Yeah, I don't know about that shot. That early in the shot clock, not really needed.
No, exactly. That's
that was. He was slow reacting, and I thought it could have been a foul call, but doesn't need to happen. I think it's a good non-call. I don't think I will ever say it was a bad non-call.
Oh, there it is. No, a little long.
And we got numbers, but Malcolm's getting back.
Good finish. But again, that's the guy you want shooting it, though. And Ryan McLean comes off the screen, has that look. And we'll see.
Got a timeout on the floor, and quick, Anthony Bradshaw is a guy who's been added to this roster for the second game. Well, he was already on the roster. He just missed the game this morning. And he brings a lot of size to this B.E.A.S.T. squad, doesn't he?
He puts the Beast in Beast. I mean, physically, 6'7", the guy, you look at his physique, his stature, an absolute monster. And he's got a nice little mid-range game to him, too. You know what? We saw the beautiful footwork, the nice touch and soft touch around the rim. And that's a huge asset. And he's made a big difference for this Beast squad in this second game of the day, because earlier on, they lacked that physical, that edge that they were missing. He provides that, and he's been huge for them in this game.
Could be a nice player at the next level, at the U Sports level. A couple of different players we've seen here today. We're talking about Hafid Moalen of GTA Prep. Seems like a good prospect for the U Sports contingent, as does Anthony Bradshaw, just one of those players that can excel in that type of environment.
Bradshaw out of Hamilton can play that 3-4 kind of mixture, those two positions. And I think the key, when you look at a guy like that who's 6'7", these guys that are 6'8", 6'9", throw all of those guys in the same category. If you add a polished jump shot, and because at the end of the day, at the next level, that's what you're going to need, because you're not going to be able to just bully guys down inside, right? You're going to need, oh my goodness. Wow, how about that rebound? But you're gonna need that element to your game. That's bottom line. Coaches are gonna expect that. You can be as tenacious, as resilient, a pest, however you want to put it, but you still have to have that skill set.
Stepped out of bounds, which I think is just the basketball god shining down, because Shaheem Malcolm came down with a massive rebound, but
it was a shame he didn't get the ball on that initial.
Exactly. So he got it right back, and here's the backcourt. You know, you could argue this is the best backcourt in the NPA.
That right there is good basketball. Cross screen, get over the top, Tynes dumps it down, backcourt doing damage for RNS.
And it's on both sides right there. It's Kellen Tynes delivering it where it needed to be delivered. And what I really like about Shaheem Malcolm, like we saw him in Ottawa finishing strong, some nice dunks, but at the same, like I need to see how you can finish through contact where you can't elevate for the dunk, right? You need to have that touch, and I've really seen that Shaheem just in the last month himself being able to finish, but you got to also be able to hit from the charity stripe.
It's a great point. If there have been any questions about his ability to finish around the rim, there's no doubt about that, because when you watch him play, you see him fight through the contact here today. To me, I'm very impressed by him, and having not having that background, you just watch him and he oozes with potential, and really does show you those glimpses of some really special skill set.
I'm always curious, and I talk to Elias and Tarek about it often, is, you know, I don't have that background yet on how to envision how a player will physically improve. I mean, skills and mentality, I'm a pretty good judge of character in that aspect. But looking at a Shaheem Malcolm, like, what will the finished product be with him physically, right? That's what I'm curious about.
Absolutely.
The lower half, like, you know, will the lower half of the body fill out, right?
Yeah.
Like, does it need to? Does it not need to? That's really, you can see that the shoulders are going to be able to carry some weight, but you don't want him to get too heavy on the top if he can't bulk up on the bottom as well, right?
It's a great point. Great point. That's one of the toughest things to forecast and project with any young player. You might go based off of their genetic history and say, hey, you know, their parents are this height and this body type, and it might yield some positive things in the future for a kid like Shaheem Malcolm or any other prospect, but you just never know. So, and that was a bit of a scary collision there along the baseline. Looked like it was Nelson. Hopefully he's okay.
Got right into the water jug there.
And a round of applause is beginning to build here. Nelson, he's had a terrific game, so that would be a huge loss for B.E.A.S.T if he needs to take a moment to perhaps recover from that.
Get a towel down that corner, or possibly an extra t-shirt. 59.4 to go here in the third quarter.
Well, we know B.E.A.S.T has one of those.
67-65 for B.E.A.S.T. Great matchup here between these two squads.
one of the better ones today.
Yep.
Oh,
there it is
nice.
again. He just glides to the rim.
Absolutely. Just when I watch, I see a lot of, from just in terms of his length and the athletic prowess that he possesses. Maybe not to the same extent, but a lot of Giannis Antetokounmpo-like skill set. Like, you're just like, man, if he fills out, look at the potential. He's one of those guys. We talk about guys like A.J. Lawson, and I haven't had the good fortune of watching a guy like Jashawn Henry, but an A.J. Lawson, a lot of these other high-level players. But man, he's got some real game to him.
Yep.
I like him a lot. I'm very impressed.
Oh yeah, I love that because he got his shorts pulled down by Trevon Davis. He didn't stop and complain. He finished through it despite no whistle. That's what I like to see off of Shaheem Malcolm.
I'm telling you, he's a gamer, man. He's a gamer.
69,
and we got him.
69.
Oh, yeah.
Through 3 here at Crestwood Preparatory College. Tell your friends, tell your fam, tune into the fourth quarter. We got quite a finish coming up.
That's a dive. That's a dive.
Showtime from the Filipino Wrecking Machine. And if you want to put together a Matthew Daves highlight reel, look out, your boy, Elijah Fisher. Two-handed slam.
Two out of Calgary.
Ooh, no-look pass. Big-time finish. Cole Newkirk.
Oh, so if you turn it over like that,
it doesn't matter. Number 21, Nas Robert.
Ewer definitely put things into perspective for him.
You want to talk about perspective.
My assist. Give me that assist. Oh, come on. Bang out. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I won.
Jashawn Henry is a man. Raheem Sullivan has the ball in his hand. 2 on the clock, gets into the lane. Floater game! Floater game! Floater game! Raheem Sullivan wins the floater game! And this game is over!
And now Penn goes from straight away. Hit another 3. His 6th of the first half.
I think the biggest thing about Kevin, highly skilled, but his values are very, very solid. Home-schooled value sort of thing. His grandparents taught him a lot. His uncle taught him a lot. Bill and Patty, his parents, obviously played a huge role. And he's very, very value-based. Everybody that you talk to that played with Kevin or coached Kevin will tell you exactly the same thing. Just a great kid, very, very grounded, never got full of himself, always works hard.
Here's Henry.
Nice fake from Portage. Oh my goodness!
And Henry didn't have to hear me there. He's putting on a highlight reel. He's putting on a show.
Pogo stick.
Jashawn Henry.
There you go. You found him. Oh, nice spin move there.
Got ourselves a tie game. Kellen Tynes on your screen. He is going to be a guy who's going to have an impact down the stretch of this game one way or another.
He needs to be an X factor for them down the stretch. And
I
on cue,
I don't think a pull-up 3 is what his coach is going to look for from him.
You know, he had an open lane there, and you want to attack. And you look at Lyon McLean. If anybody, I would have reversed psychology there. Like, Lyon McLean, pull it.
Yeah.
Kellen Tynes attack.
Yeah.
Right? curious decision here, and I'm curious to see how this pays out, if this pays dividends or not. But they went back to the zone. This is where B.E.A.S.T made a big run in that second quarter when they went to this 1-3-1 zone, and they came out in it here again, did RNS. So we'll see what happens.
Some crisp passing.
I think that's the first time all day that we've seen an RNS big leave their feet to go and contest the layup.
Yeah.
And they've done a fantastic job defensively in that department, not to put themselves in foul trouble. Right there, I think that was the first time, if my memory serves me correctly, that I've seen it all day. So,
well-coached team.
And even in a one-point game, it looks like Damian Gay's just enjoying himself right now. He's on cruise control, it seems.
Throwing in Ben Dunnett, who hasn't played yet today, coming out and playing to start the fourth quarter.
Can't stop it.
He's just gliding and slicing through that defense.
Can't stop him.
No. You know, there was a game in Ottawa, he had the same flow but got into foul trouble, and it really threw a wrench into things. Talk about throwing a wrench into things. Dylan Nelson has been throwing that basket through the hoop from range all game long.
Oh, he's been tremendous. Beautiful. No, you got to go up. Fight for it. Kellen, nice play. Kellen Tynes. Oh, and thought he might have thrown it off of the defender there, but. Well, Nelson's been the Achilles heel for this RNS team. I mean, he's been dialed in from deep, and it's been a big reason why the B.E.A.S.T is in the lead right now. He's got 6 triples.
He's really been the offensive threat for B.E.A.S.T, who again have already played here today, so I think that will be the thing to watch going down the stretch here.
I don't expect fatigue to be an issue whatsoever. Part of it is because that first game was indeed a blowout, and if anything, they're going to be amped up, energized, motivated to try and get back into the win column.
Yeah, you don't want to play 2 games in a day and be handed 2 L's.
Absolutely.
Malcolm, pull up. Yeah, I'd like to see him continue to try to get to the rim. It's worked non-stop today.
Just add that shot, a crisp, smooth jump shot to his game, and man, he's a real threat. He's got the total package. Look at, ooh.
Bradshaw steps in.
Good steal.
I was just about to say, I haven't seen Caleb Suley for a while, and he's at the table ready to check in, and that was the guy who I thought he was going to be coming in for. Ben Dunnett looked a little overmatched there on the defensive end. And again, a guy who we're going to need to see step up if RNS is going to overcome this 5-point deficit is Kellen Tynes. And Tynes, as I had mentioned, ninth in the league at 18.5 points per game, first at almost 8 dimes a game and 7.5 boards, does it all.
Dynamic playmaker, does it on both ends of the floor. And one thing that we've talked about this backcourt duo at great length today, Tynes and Malcolm, both of them, if they add consistent jump shots, if they become a threat from beyond the arc, from mid-range territory where they can go off the dribble, pull up, be a threat from there, then you got 2 guys, and Tynes in particular, Tynes the smaller of the 2, who still are just such dynamic, elusive playmakers that it's hard to defend against them. And we've seen them really thrive in the fast break transition scenarios. And for RNS, if I'm Damian Gay right now, and we're talking about making adjustments, I'm going back to a press because that's where my team has thrived. And if anything, and the score is indicative of it, when they've been in that 1-3-1 or 2-3 zone territory, it just hasn't worked for them. The half court has been deadly for them defensively when they haven't played man. And I think that they haven't made that adjustment yet. It's a big rebound.
Tynes,
nice pass.
Court. And it's nice to see that finish. There's been a couple of times today where Tynes has kind of put it on a platter, but his teammates have not been able to eat it up.
Talk about setting the table. Kellen Tynes has done, as you said, Jason, a fantastic job of just putting his teammates in a position where they can finish. And he hasn't gotten the help from his teammates in that department, but he's been excellent.
That was Matt Green. Caleb Sully was ice cold in the first half and has been on the bench for much of the second half. Comes out and misses again. I mean, if he can't get it going on the offensive end, you need one of Ryan McLean or Caleb Sully to start hitting from downtown if you're going to have a chance to come back into this game.
You need that third threat, that third piece, and Ryan McLean has been that today for RNS. If anything, you might need him to make some more shots down the stretch. You can't just rely on Shaheem Malcolm and Kellen Tynes to kind of do all of the heavy lifting. That puts a lot of pressure on them, and to do it over the course of a 40-minute game, that's a lot to ask. So that's maybe where they're getting into trouble here, and we'll see if they can get some more playmakers out there on the floor. See if somebody steps up. You got to step up. Nice pass.
Coming in for the foul.
Good vision. Very good vision there from Shaheem Malcolm, and he delivers it underneath. And going to the line is Dawson Sutherland.
Port Hawkesbury's own.
6'6". Man, I'd like to be walking around at 6'6". Jeez.
Got them both.
These are a couple big free throws. Getting into some critical moments here in this game. There we go. This is what I've been waiting to see. They go to man. It's a good finish.
Very strong finish. Abdou Figaro.
You tip your cap. You tip your cap on that one. That's a bad turnover. But you tip your cap on that drive. You force them. I mean, how many dribbles were there in that sequence right there, right? I mean, theoretically, defensively, you're looking at that and you're saying, okay, you know, he put it on the deck and he made a play. You know, just kind of tip your cap.
Good non-call. Although Sutherland looks like he might have rolled an ankle down there.
And it was a good non-call, absolutely. Yeah. To the officials' credit, just looked like they got locked up there underneath as they were battling for the rebound. And he's limping. That might be a huge loss for them. He's giving them some quality minutes, especially here in the fourth quarter.
Ben Dow checks in for him.
How about those kicks? Oh, man.
On Dowell.
Wow. The rainbow. Every color.
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air high tops.
And this is a guy they need to create some offense. He's got to do... You need something, like we talked about. Oh, that's pretty. Got to get something from this.
B.E.A.S.T plugs up the lane, comes down with the defensive rebound.
You know, RNS, obviously as a team that's in their second year on this circuit, B.E.A.S.T in their inaugural season, these two teams, you can see they have potential for growth. Oh, Kellen Tynes.
High
awareness.
IQ play there, yep.
Nice pass and a
Caleb
good finish.
Sully, a little role reversal there. Sully dropping the dime the way of Shaheem Malcolm. We got a tight game here in winning time. McLean couldn't get his box out on his man, giving up quite a bit of size there to Dylan Nelson.
Shaheem Malcolm playing defensively, got to use your length to your advantage. And one of the things, when you see a guy like that with his skill set, his size, those arms are long.
Yeah.
You know, got to go out and use it to your advantage. Contest. Be disruptive defensively. I want to see more of that from him.
80-77, B.E.A.S.T Prep. Stay with us. We'll be back. Fourth quarter action. Franco Miller with the spike. Oh no, Franco Miller.
They're barking. They're starting to bark.
Yeah. On time, on target delivery, piping hot. Shiny dime. Franco Miller. .437 to go, 4 seconds on the shot clock.
The officials discussing something, it appears, and see now they're heading over to the scores table. Oh. And another timeout dispute. What else is new? We saw one earlier in the last game, GTA Prep and TBA. It almost got pretty heated down the stretch, actually. I think it was TBA that was disputing whether or not they had a timeout remaining, and you can see Kellen Tynes, he's gathering the troops. Headed back to the bench now.
While they figure things out, we'll take a quick break, let the officials decide what they want to do from here. We're back, a 3-point lead, 4:37 to go. Not an inbounds pass you would expect to work out.
Very fortunate to come up with that rebound.
Malcolm is fouled on the floor.
Man, he's a handful. That's a strong move along the baseline. Not many guys have the strength and the skill set to catch it, rip it, and go hard along the baseline. He draws the foul. Now they get a fresh possession here.
Tynes. Malcolm all over it.
My goodness. When's the last time you saw a 6'5" guard get under the basket, have the awareness to know where the ball is, get a rebound, get fouled? I mean, we've seen him operate from beyond the arc. We've seen him facilitate. We've seen him attack, slice to the basket, work off the ball. Just phenomenal work from Shaheem Malcolm today. Regardless of the outcome, he's been terrific.
First is pure. As is the second. Cutting the lead to 1. We're in for a good finish.
This is it right here. This is what RNS needs to do. Where's the help side? Good help, better finish.
Over top of the size. McLean rushed that one a little bit.
Wow.
Matthew Green.
Perplexed and amazed. That was quite the move, quite the finish.
Yeah, it took it right at multiple defenders. Not something that you would suggest would be the best way to get yourself 2 points, but difficult 2 is just as good as an easy 2.
And not the best way to endear yourself to your coach, but if you make it, you get a round of applause if you make it, that's for sure.
Malcolm. Handoff. McLean finds Tynes. Looking for Malcolm off the screens again. Both guys trying to save it, and they end up hitting off a teammate.
I thought you were supposed to be rewarded for good hustle.
I know. 2 guys hustle, then it suddenly cancels each other out. Tough pass, tougher finish. I'm telling you, these 3 guys really have some special chemistry going on. You'll see it in the mixtapes, you'll see it in some of the B-roll you'll see. Shaheem Malcolm, Kellen Tynes, Caleb Suley are really good on those backdoor cuts, leading each other with passes, seem to know where they're going to be. But RNS needs to get some stops on the other end of the floor.
That's what's hurting them right now. But on that point, though, Jason, and what they lack in skill, size, athleticism, strength, all these tangible skills, they'll make up for it with that chemistry, with that synergy that they have as a group. And that's part of the reason why they're in a game like this. They're competing, they're grinding, and that's why I have belief in this program, these players, that they can thrive. They have potential to grow and to really improve at this level. Nice.
That's what you need to see from Kellen Tynes. I've seen far too many shots from range that didn't have a hope of going in.
That's his game right there. That's his bread and butter.
He hasn't been just off from range. He's been well off.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've seen quite a few air balls, shots off the side of off the backboard, not even hitting any rim. Oh, he needs that.
But look at that. That's what you want from Kellen Tynes.
That's perfect.
Those up ahead passes, those quick ahead passes are just so solid.
Head man the ball.
Yep.
Head man the ball. Put it in a position where you're going to allow a teammate to get an easy layup. And we've talked about it all game long. They thrive, they get a turnover, boom, push it in transition.
And with this team, RNS, they really seem to understand the basic premise that the pass is faster than the dribble. There's very little over dribbling.
It's one thing that most kids are very stubborn about.
Yeah.
But it seems like they understand. They're very fundamentally sound. I'll give them credit. They're very fundamentally sound.
I think the mentality is it's more fun to dribble, but when you start to pass the way that high-level teams pass, passing's way more fun than dribbling.
Absolutely. But it's the culture, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of these younger kids watch the NBA, or not even watch, because the highlights, right? We live in the highlight era.
Hey, that's how I get my highlights, is on Twitter.
You see Steph Curry, and or you see even at the collegiate level. I mean, Trae Young, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I mean, you see him dribbling all over the place, hoists up a 3. So it's the sexy play.
The one I hate more than anything is the crossovers that lead to nothing.
Yeah, you're not going nowhere. What's the point? Go somewhere, right? Go somewhere with your dribble. Go somewhere. Oh, pretty. Get in there.
Oh, that would have put RNS in the lead. They are battling. This final 105 is going to be fun. We have a 1-point lead for B.E.A.S.T Prep. Kellen Tynes looking up to some friends and family in attendance here. RNS with their own cheering squad here.
A little supporter section.
And I look over my shoulder and I see Halifax Prep rolling, and I know it's Halifax Prep because they're the most well-dressed squad.
Suit and tie.
Love it.
Dressed for success. Help side. Good D.
Kellen Tynes back the other way. The Riverhawks looking to take flight here in the final minute. 45 seconds to go. Shaheem Malcolm, 14 on the shot clock.
Nobody else I'd rather have with the ball.
Oh, didn't roll fast enough, battling on the floor. B.E.A.S.T gets it back. Execution lacking right there. This is going to be close to get it over. They do. 26 on the clock.
So now if you hold it, you're going to get a shot here. Foul. And that's a costly one. You put them at the line.
Ooh. Head coach Damon Gay didn't look too upset at that.
Theoretically, right? You look at that possession right there. So now you're giving them that. If he makes the second one here, 3-point game, it's still a 1-possession game. However, could have got it down. See if they can execute something. Because one thing we have seen, yes, the driving kick and the penetration, but if you can hold them, get one stop, you give yourself a chance to win the game. Instead, now we got a timeout, and RNS is going to have to figure out what they can do here.
So we got 19.2 on the clock. Just a reminder as well that this unofficially kicks off our drive to the national championships, which will be held here in the GTA, February 28th through March 4th. Everyone will be seated. Everybody will be in that tournament. It will be quite a spectacle having 13 teams in this. And from coast to coast, we'll have everybody covered from BC across to Halifax as we crown the second national champion at the high school level. Only the second time that's been done in Canadian basketball history. CTA, the defending national champions, will be in attendance tomorrow. They'll be driving down from Ottawa. Still undefeated on this season, but they are going to have a heck of a time staying undefeated with the schedule that they have here in this upcoming session. RNS looks like they're going to need 3. That is not what you wanted to see. Shaheem Malcolm with the foul.
This is what puzzles me. You take a timeout, and in that time, and I saw same exact situation unfolded in the last game as well. We're late in the game. I mean, you take a timeout. What are you drawing up?
I think that was just lack of execution.
Right, like, it could 100% be attributed to that, but it's just you hate to see that happen.
Yep.
Right? You hate to see that happen. Drives you nuts.
It just looked like something happened off the ball. Once Ryan McLean got the rock, he was looking, I believe, for Shaheem Malcolm. Something happened off the ball there. And it resulted in a broken play, and Kellen Tynes thought the same thing I did. We're going to need 3, I better launch. And now they've just seen this game fall out of their grasp. B.E.A.S.T Prep play 2 games today, and they're going to come out with a 500 record, stepping in to take this matchup. 2.5 to go. Another foul. Stay tuned after a short break. We're going to be seeing Crestwood Prep take on LBA. It will be Crestwood's second game of the day as well. And they're taking on an extremely talented, well-coached London Basketball Academy.
Absolutely.
These are 2 teams that I love watching.
Absolutely. 2 very, very talented, high-powered teams. Pair of teams that can really put the ball in the basket. LBA, Denzel Cummings, Okai. I mean, there's some really, really talented players, some sharpshooters.
Anthony Bradshaw is happy we're talking about LBA as he airballed one of his free throws. 90-85 will be your final. Thank you for tuning in for Game 4. We got 2 more to come. Stay tuned. We'll be back after a very short break.